In Korea in 1943, two United States Air Forces pilots named Hal Jordan and Kyle were busy going about their regular business when Lois Lane informed them that the United States and the Korean government had agreed on a peace treaty, meaning the war would end immediately. As the two pilots were about to return to their homes, two Korean pilots who weren't aware of the peace treaty suddenly attacked them. Jordan plane fans were destroyed by the repeated shots, which forces him to quickly get out the plane and landed safely on a parachute, signaling for help from the other army. A young Korean kid who saw him started attacking Jordan tries to communicate in whatever language, trying to let the kid know about the news that the both government agreed to stop the war, but him, knowing he is just few seconds away from death, had no choice but to pull his trigger on the kid, another to save himself. But this incident made Jordan really traumatized, so he ended up in a mental ward within a hospital for 2 years. The scene suddenly takes us to the Gotham City Observatory, where the last survivor of an alien race called John was accidentally brought to Earth by a scientist called Dr. Saul, who we see on the ground dying slowly from a heart attack due to the shock of seeing an alien. The scientist died after apologizing for bringing him to Earth, and the alien, who doesn't have any means to return back to his planet, had to take the form of the scientist and decided to live as a human on Earth. After a few years, Superman flies across Indonesia only for him to see a large number of dead bodies scattered all around an area in the forest. He hears a celebration voice and follows the sound just to see Wonder Woman and some women having a party. Superman asked her what really happened in the area, and Wonder Woman explains on how she passed by this village few days ago. The people in this area helped the French, but the political rebels didn't like it, so they killed all the men and children, tossing their corpses in the river while the women were being held captive for the rebels to use to satisfy their desires. Wonder Woman said that she just disarmed the rebels, but offered the abused women the opportunity to kill the rebels so they could exact their vengeance. When Superman questioned how they died, hearing this, Superman is enraged and reminds her that the Justice League was disbanded by the government because they were acting like vigilantes, and that even Batman is now wanted since he has been labeled a fugitive vigilante. Superman explains to Wonder Woman that they took the loyalty oaths to the United States government in order to try and lessen the fear that the public had of them, but she retorts angrily that she is willing to do whatever feels right. Superman meets with Lois Lane later that evening and sadly tells her about how things are falling apart. He believes things became this way ever since the Senator McCarthy came into power, but Lois tells him that's not where the problems are coming from, because there will always be senators like McCarthy in every government organizations, but instead the superheroes needs to be strong and stand up for everything that America symbolizes. The alien from earlier called John is living quietly in disguise in form of the scientist. He watches the TV to learn and understand things he doesn't know about the humans. He takes on many forms of the characters he saw in the television, but decided to finally take the identity of a detective as he wants to help out in saving humanity. In Las Vegas, those two pilot friends called Jordan and Kyle were busy having fun in a party, while we see a girl called Iris West who was being sent on a mission to interview a pop star called Buddy Blake in that same casino. She later calls her boyfriend Barry, revealing how she badly misses him, but during their conversation the entrance of the casino exploded and a villain called Captain Cold emerges from nowhere and threatens not to hurt anyone, that's if they allow his girls to secure all the money in the place. A guy tries to run away, then Captain Cold killed him by freezing him to death to show off his abilities. Flash angrily goes to strike Captain Cold, who warns him that if any harm should come to him, he will end up risking the lives of everyone in the city because he has hidden 6 cryogenic bombs all around the city that are going to explode in 90 seconds. After hearing the commotion on his phone call with Iris, Barry quickly dons his superhero suit and arrives at the casino in full speed to save Iris, who was freezing to death from the villain attack. Finds the 5 bombs and uses a parachute to launch them into space as he zips across Las Vegas. But then he finds that there isn't a 6th bomb because Cold only intended to use it to waste his time while he searched for it before Cold could flee by a helicopter. The two pilot pals, Jordan and Kyle, were on their way to the desert when the Flash used his weapon against him to capture him. Jordan is really curious about their location, which Kyle planned to keep a secret. Kyle, who has noticed Jordan acting strangely, asks him what's up, and Jordan responds that ever since he killed that child during the war, he's never been the same, which has severely damaged his hopes of flying to space as soon as possible. The conflict was over. The unexpected location, Ferris, a corporation for space pilots, is revealed to be where Kyle unexpectedly comes with Jordan. He went inside and was interviewed by Carl Ferris, who questioned him about why there was a gap in his resume. He told her everything about the war and how he went to the mental hospital to understand his life's purpose. Carl hired him right away and they had fun with a drink. Meanwhile, that alien from Mars named John has been working as a detective on Earth without anyone knowing about his secret identity. When John and his partner arrive at the apartment which I live in, I find out that John is who, in order to view a superhero, he enters through the front even though John instructs him to use the back entrance. Following the struggle, Batman tries to aid the child, who turned out to be extremely afraid of him. The ritualists who had tied up the young lad for sacrifice were being beat to a pulp by Batman. Assuring the young boy's safety, John tells Batman to move aside and calms him down. Their god, the Center, is approaching. One of the ritualists, who is half dead, warns them, and if they stop the rite they will suffer serious repercussions. On the other hand, they are left wondering who the Center is. Jordan enrolls in Ferris' company of space pilots training program. He is introduced to a man named Faraday, a government employee, at a later time when Carl brings him to a hidden facility underground that is eventually revealed to be a federal space site. Faraday tells Jordan that they really need to figure out what the aliens really want from them, so they propose to Jordan to help them fly a rocket to space so they can find out about the aliens' true intentions. Jordan was shown the scientist who died at the Gotham City Observatory after he sent a message to Mars. Looking at the footprints in the area was evidence that an alien really showed up at the observatory, but Faraday and his team weren't able to find it. After conducting a search for 2 years, when Batman first appears at John's house, he reveals that he has discovered that John is an alien, but that he also knows that he is a good man because of the way that he helped save the young boy the other night. Batman suggests that they work together to look into the Center, which is being worshipped by a secret cult that is spreading throughout the world. A short while later, John was invited to question a scientist named Harry who had previously worked for the Ferris Com. Once there, Faraday takes him into arrest. The Flash subdues a huge gorilla named Grodd that was going to destroy the city, but instead of being recognized for saving the city, John reads all that was on his thoughts at the central city and rattles Faraday when he doesn't get any answers. He was instead apprehended by the government agents who tries to capture him, but he barely manages to make his escape using his powers. John goes to a bar to have a drink where he sees the Flash, who angrily expresses how he has always used his powers to help people, but instead the government just keeps hunting him down like a criminal because of this act. He says he is going to retire from being a superhero. When the broadcast was over, John sees the attitude of the people at the bar who showed in gratitude, so he goes away angrily, believing the humans doesn't deserve to be saved. John immediately goes to the Batman secret basement feeling so disheartened and informs Batman that he will be leaving Earth for his planet because he lost hope in humanity as he sees so much ignorance, hatred and conformity within the people around him, and handed Batman the last piece of information he has obtained about the Center before he left. John enters the rocket where Jordan and his co-pilot Flag were about to fly to Mars. John was seen in the camera by Faraday, who immediately attacks him. John defeated Faraday but rescues him from the rocket exhaust by flying him away, but suddenly decided to surrender himself to the agents who pointed a gun at him. Unfortunately, in space the rocket began to malfunction, so Jordan was about to attempt a safe landing for them. His colleague reveals that the rocket is filled up with dangerous weapon, and wasn't able to risk it. After a fight between them both, Jordan was thrown off the rocket, but he is rescued by Superman. But this distraction only gave Flag the opportunity to donate the rocket. After returning Jordan back to Earth, we see John as being held as a prisoner by Faraday. Superman, who sees this, scolds Faraday for treating John, a fellow alien, differently from him because of his looks. He reveals that the capturing was totally John's decision, because he can actually escape out of the prison using his powers anytime he wants, but he hasn't on an island wonder. Woman is training with her fellow Amazonian Mala, who expresses how the United States has been really different since the war. Mara tells her that things in island has been different as well because the Amazonians are desiring for a change in leadership. The two of them were suddenly distracted by an unknown figure approaching the island who attacks them. Jordan sees an alien on the ground called Abanzua, a Green Lantern of Sector 2814, who explains that he was on his way to Earth to protect them from the center, but the explosion that happened in space earlier badly got him injured. He tells Jordan that he has a good heart, and because of this the ring has chosen him as the next Green Lantern, so he can fight the center in his place. Superman shows up at Batman basement to review John's last pieces of research about the center, only for him to get a news from the radio that a creature is already attacking the city. Immediately Superman hurries to the location and ties down the creature using his super strength. Wonder Woman suddenly crashes to the scene with a jet covered with blood. Before she faints, she informs Superman that the center wiped out all her people, and it's on its way to the city. Faraday, who sees goodness in the alien John for saving his life, makes friend with him as they play chess together. Faraday also gets the news about center approaching the city, and John also decided to join him on this impending battle. Superman goes to attack the center, but it defeated him in minutes. Because of this, the superheroes had to make plans on subduing this creature. Their plan was to throw a bomb inside the center mouth. Flash was given the responsibility to do that, while the rest of the superheroes all went to attack at once to cause a distraction. At the very critical moment, Jordan finally understood how to use the powers of the ring, and as Flash runs round the creature in full speed, Green Lantern uses the ring to wrap the center and tosses it towards the sun, which killed it instantly. He goes back to the superheroes, and as they all rejoice on their victory, a gigantic ship emerges from the water which reveals a superhero called Aquaman, who brought out the injured Superman. The world were no longer afraid of the superheroes, and that was how this movie ended. Thank you for watching, guys. If you love animation movies, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye. To her.